fellow Rotarians. Missy Shaw is not with us anymore, so you know she took a job in Defiance. So I just happened to notice a week or two ago that she had a program come up, so we checked, and she had kind of had it set up. She said she talked to Bob and Mark, but hadn't confirmed that. So anyway, made sure Courtney didn't have somebody in place there and stuff, so contacted Bob and Mark to see if they'd be able to go ahead and do it, confirm it for today, and they could. So a lot of you in here, if not all of you, know Mark Young and Bob Garza with Two Bandits Brewing here in town. They started their business here, opened up on March 2nd, 2017, so they just had their second anniversary. Bob's been around town for a lot of years. He was actually born in Lima in 1989, moved to Hicksville when he was about 8 years old. So Hicksville, or graduate, I'm sorry. They're younger than they look. Yeah, graduated in 89, thanks Mark. And actually they both graduated in 89. Mark from Eden, although he did inform me today that he's actually born in Hicksville, so he may still be a native of Hicksville. So anyway, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mark Young and Bob Garza with Two Bandits Brewing.
Well, thank you. I know most of you. I'm Bob. I am the brewer at Two Bandits. Just a little bit, the building is complete. We have 1,000 square foot. Right now it's 48 square feet. I don't know if you've all seen the where we're brewed now, but it's 48 square feet. It was an old bathroom, employee bathroom when the brick house had it. So there's a lot more elbow room, but it's slowly getting full. We have a little more things to do. We have our glycol system to put in yet. A little bit more electrical, some more plumbing, but that should all be done. We're hoping by the 22nd, so I can start wet firing the system up. I'm going to use water. I'm not going to brew anything right away because if I mess up, I'm just losing water and not beer. I'm planning on doing that hopefully on the 25th, so I can get familiar with the system and how everything works and how to take everything apart, because this is totally new for me, going from a small kettle like this to something that's about 7 foot tall. It's quite intimidating. We have a lot more. We picked up another customer in distribution over the weekend. We were at the Defiance Home and Garden Show. Leisure time out in Napoleon. So I need to pull the reins on Mark a little bit tighter because we're having a hard time right now keeping up on our end production. But you know, Mark pretty good at selling the stuff, so you know I really don't want to pull too tight. But other than that, that's where we're at with the brewery part. You guys ever come in, grab Mark or I, and then we'll take you in the back and show you around and let you look at all the equipment we have. It's gonna be nice. I mean, it's gonna be a lot more production in the same amount of time that we're doing now. Right now, we get about 4 5-gallon kegs every time we brew. We're brewing 6 to 7 times a week, and some of those are 2 shifts. With this new system, we're going to get anywhere between 26 and 30 kegs every time we brew, in the same amount of time it takes to do the 4. Yeah. So, and I think in 1 month we'll produce half of what we produced all of last year with the new system. So, and then we had just with our keg that we distributed last Saturday to Leisure Time, I don't know if Mark knows this, but we distributed 10 barrels of beer already, 300 gallons of beer, and just this year. I can't remember the total. Last year was like.
In total?
Yeah, last year.
Just for distribution, wasn't it 14 barrels?
I think it was more than that. But yeah, I think it was like 47 barrels is what we did last year, and we're already at 10 this year. So you know the demand's still there. You know, Mark and I haven't slowed down yet. I mean, we're still putting in a lot of hours, which you know it doesn't bother me any because I'm making beer. I mean, who else can complain about that? But I'll hand it over to Mark. He'll go over some of the numbers, and thank you.
I want to thank everybody for your support of Two Bandits Brewing Company, and thank you for letting us come and speak. I think this is probably the third time that we have been graciously invited, so we're very thankful for that. And I see an awful lot of faces that frequent the brewery often, and Bob and I are very, very grateful for that as well. As Bob had said, we signed up our 10th distributor just last weekend at the Home and Garden Show. We were there spreading the gospel, as it were, and so we're very excited about that. So the first year of our fledgling business, we had one distributor, and that was Stony Ridge Winery in Bryan, and they stocked 4 of our beers on tap. And in the second year, we went from 1 to now 10. Humbly, we're very, very proud of that. And we honestly believe that we're just getting warmed up. The sky is the proverbial limit. We did celebrate, as Bob told you, our 2nd year anniversary 2 Saturdays ago, and it was our 2nd busiest sales day we have ever had. And it made me feel really, really good, because I think that it proved, if no one else, at least to me, that we still have relevance, and we still have an awful lot to go. And we honestly don't know where the ceiling is, because we haven't hit it yet. And we're very, very grateful for that as well. And we're very excited about what this new system holds for not only us as a small brewery, but for the community as a whole. We are getting people from literally hours away to come to the brewery and get a tour, to have a good beer, and to have a good meal. Two weekends ago, we had a couple from Ashtabula, Ohio. Anyone know where Ashtabula is? Okay, it's kind of the southeast side of Cleveland, if my geography serves. Okay, they literally came just to be at Two Bandits Brewing Company. And the week before that, we had a gentleman drove all the way from Cleveland because he had heard of us and he wanted to check it out. We have people that come from the suburbs of Indianapolis. Obviously, Fort Wayne and Toledo are the norm, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make to everyone here is that the word is magic, and it draws people from a long distance to not only enjoy Two Bandits, but in my opinion, the village of Hicksville itself, and there's a lot to offer. A couple interesting facts. I'm a numbers guy, I'm operations, and so I pay a lot of attention to these numbers. We recently surpassed 70,000 pints served in 2 years. So I'm very, very proud of that fact, particularly out of a little 1-barrel system. It cranks out between 5 and 7 barrels a week. And then we have a lot of visitors from other breweries, and they say that there's just no way possible that we're producing the quantity and the quality of beer that we are on a 1-barrel, and we walk them back there and show them the system, and their jaws just drop. So that's kind of nice in and of itself. One other interesting number that may have relevance for everyone here, they are saying now that throughout the United States, breweries are opening at the rate of 2 breweries per day. So in other words, somewhere in this great country of ours, every day there's 2 breweries coming online. And they're also saying that it's not enough. That the market is not satiated, that people's thirst for a good beer and for a good meal they don't know where it's going to stop. And so we're very grateful that we got in when we did. We think we got in at a very, very good time. Canning is coming. I have had a lot of people ask us about packaged product. So we hope by August to have our canning line up and running. And I also have a waiting group of businesses wanting to take that as well. So that means that even when Two Bandits Brewing Company is not open to the general public, you will hopefully be able to go to your nearest convenience store and pick up a 4-pack of Two Bandits beer as well. So that's very exciting in and of itself. So I guess that's really everything that I have right now. As Bob said, anyone wants to come down, and we don't have to be open. If you would like to come down one of these days, we're usually there. Even on Mondays and Tuesdays when we're not open, we're there. We're cleaning, we're brewing, we're planning for the week, we're ordering, And anyone wants to come in and see the new 1,000 square foot brew house, we're only too happy to show our new baby off. So, does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
We have a son-in-law that they're from Tampa, Florida, and they came up to your brewery. And I forget what he said exactly, but something about hops. That is there more hops in some beer than some other ones or something?
Oh, absolutely. Typically hops are found in just about any beer, but I mean, depending on the beer, some beers have more hops than others. Bob, you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, typically, your IPAs have a lot more hops. Your stouts are less. Some brown ales are even less. But it all depends on what kind of hops you're using. A lot of bittering hops, but a lot of your New England style IPAs, which we have the 007, is more of a citra hop or an aroma hop. So you throw all those at the end of the boil, and you get all that aroma and the sweetness of beer.
It's a great question. May I ask, did your son-in-law enjoy his experience with us?
They sure did.
Good.
They're experts at it.
Good. You know, I mean, and that means a lot to us. You know, I mean, and I think when I say this, I'm speaking for Bob as well. It's very humbling that we have locals who have family that come from afar, and the first place they want to bring them is to Bandits Brewing Company. So that means a lot to us, that you've invested your belief in us, and you want to show them, and you're proud of what it is that we've accomplished. And you know, it isn't our brewery, it's everyone's brewery, and that's how we look at it.
I think there's another thing going on too. Wine tasting is kind of a something that people like to go to, and now that is beer tasting has been added in almost the same category.
Absolutely, that's very true.
That means it's more acceptable in the community to have something right open out on the street uptown.
Yes.
And something, it's not a drunken.
No, and that's not what craft beer is, was, or will be. Craft beer is a beer to be savored, a beer to be enjoyed. It's not a guzzler. It never was supposed to be. And you're absolutely right. And I think the American consciousness is really starting to understand that and take grasp of that. Ironically, there are far more pairings with food for craft beer than there are for wine. So that's an interesting thing in of itself. And people come in and they want to know, as a for instance, well, what on your menu would go good with our killer bee, or what dessert would go good with our raspberry wheat, and so forth and so on. So people are understanding that as well, and there are food pairings with beers that accentuate the flavors of both. And we work hard to combine those flavors, and our tap mates are pretty well versed, and they're very experienced, and they can make good recommendations for that as well. Yeah, indeed, that's a very good statement. Larry, yes sir?
You're selling in barrels, right?
We're selling in kegs right
Kegs.
now. Yep, that's
Okay.
the common
Have you
sixtels.
thought to bottling?
Bottling was something that we looked at pretty hard, and we decided to go with cans instead. There's a lot of reasons. One is economic. The bottler that we were looking at would have actually sat in the footprint of that table where you guys are sitting at. It was capable of washing, labeling, filling, and capping 2,100 bottles an hour. A very nice machine, but it was over $100,000. The canner that we're looking at, we can get started in canning for about $6,000. So you can understand why we're choosing to go with canning. And with Two Bandits, you know, we're working men, and we try to be very, very careful with everything that we have. And we start with something, we dial it in and make it right, and then we go forward. So we believe that canning at this juncture is the way forward. The product is lighter. The cans are literally a third of the price of bottles. If you drop a can, typically you can probably salvage it. If you drop a bottle, it's all over. So there's a lot of reasons to go with cans. Personally, I like bottles. I'm old school that way. I still feel that the flavor has a better retention in bottles. But Bob and I have done a lot of research, and they say that the new liners that they have in the cans, coupled with the fact that they're going to be protected from light, actually, in many cases, makes them far superior to bottles. So, well, we are gonna start with cans. They will be 16 ounces, and it'll be a 4-pack. Why 16 as opposed to 12? Well, if anybody knows me, I'm a marketer, and I pay attention to these things. And when Two Bandits beer is on the shelf, which will be, as I hope everyone knows, it will actually be marketed under the Hicksville Brewing Company, which is another marketing reason. But when you see that on the shelf, it's going to be sitting this much higher than all those 12-ounce beers. And so when you're looking at a whole row of beers and you're trying to decide what beer you want to choose, that one that sits 2 inches higher is going to draw your eye right to it.
There's that great big barrel that they have on TV, ads of carrying corn syrup, you know, where they're trying to find what beer uses it. Do you guys use corn syrup?
We don't. We use absolutely zero corn syrup. What you're seeing is, if you excuse the expression, a pissing match between the big boys, and us little guys just have to sit back and snicker, because if they want to tear each other apart, that's great, but the only thing that is used in our beers is completely natural. Hops, barley, wheat, fruit, and honey, the way God intended, you know, so there's no preservatives. And actually, and this is a little known fact, and again, I like facts. So, and you've probably heard me say this to some of you guys individually when you come into the brewery. The human body needs 13 minerals and vitamins to survive. That's just a statement of science, okay? It so happens that craft beer has all 13 of those minerals and vitamins. So arguably, in moderation, craft beer is good for you. Indeed, yes, the breakfast of champions.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of an off-the-wall question, but I've
Please.
been reading about this the last couple of weeks. And they're saying in the states where marijuana is legal, they're starting to brew it in the beer.
You know,
Cannabis in the beer.
we've heard of this a little bit, and Bob, you actually got to try some,
I tried one.
and it's Bob hated it.
It's horrible.
It's horrific. No, bear in mind, it's a gimmick. Okay, having cannabis in beer has absolutely, let me say this, zero effects. There's no hallucinogenic anything. It's all about the shock factor and the aroma. Now, if any of you ever smelled burning cannabis, I don't personally care for it. I don't like the scent, and that's the flavor that comes through in the beer. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it's all about, in this case, the nose of the beer. But as far as actually having any effects on the body, there's absolutely zero. But yes, I don't. Even if that was ever to become a case here in the state of Ohio, I don't think that we would ever do that. Again, it's a gimmick, and we don't care for that. So, yeah. What else? Yes, sir.
Is there gonna be a difference, you think, in the taste when you do the smaller versus the great big?
I'm gonna let Bob answer that.
I'm hoping not, but right now we were using RO water with our small system, and we are now using Hicksville water, running through some chlorine filters and stuff to get some of the iron and chlorine out. But actually, Hicksville water is really good for brewing because it's so hard, and that hardness actually will pick up, will give the hops its different taste and stuff. So right now we are using Hicksville water. We use calcium chloride and a little bit of lactic acid to drop the pH of the water, and then so far we've been having some good results. But I do have a program called Beersmith where I punch in all my numbers. I have had the water tested through Ward's Laboratory, Culligan, and H2O in Antwerp, just to make sure all my numbers were similar, and they are. And so I got a program called Beersmith where I punch all those numbers in, and it actually scales it up for me. So if I want to go from a 10-gallon barrel or 10-gallon batch, I put in 100 gallons, and it adjusts all the numbers for me so I know what to put in and how much. And I won't know for sure until the first batch comes off where we are on taste.
But each batch probably might even have a little bit of different taste.
Yeah,
Nah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's craft. I mean,
Yeah.
every batch, and that's that's one of the beautiful things about craft is that each batch is in and of itself a little bit unique. We strive for consistency because when you come in and you fall in love with one of our beers and you come back a week or 2 weeks later or whenever that may be, you want it to look, smell, and taste like that beer that you fell in love with, and so that's important to us. Good beer is good chemistry, and vice versa. Larry, did that answer your question before? Yeah?
Are there many Killer Bees and other breweries around?
Yes, so Killer Bee is our #1 selling beer, hands down. It's one of the more expensive and one of the more difficult beers for us to produce. So of course, you know, everyone has champagne tastes, as it were. So Bob, is it fair to say that 7 of our 10 distributors stock the Killer Bee on their taps? Yeah, even we actually, does anyone ever heard of Okolona? Yeah, you know where that's at? Okay, so they have 2 industries in Okolona. They have a feed mill and they have a tavern. Okay, it's called the Okie. And they have 3 of 2 Bandits Brewing Company's beers on tap, and one of them is the Killer Bee. So everybody carries that one. Cora and Brian, the Casual Pint in Toledo, Stony Ridge, everyone has the Killer Bee. It's a wonderful beer, in my humble opinion. What else? Some great questions. Anybody?
Mark, I think you said you got about 10 places online that want your stuff. Kind of, you've named a few of them here, but what would be some of the others and where are they located?
Well, the Findlay Brewing Company in Findlay, Ohio, stocks our beer. Again, I made a subtle mention of the Casual Pint. The Casual Pint we have actually been associated with. They're actually getting ready to celebrate their 1-year anniversary next month, and it is a brew pub. They don't manufacture any of their own beer, but they bring in craft beer from everywhere. And they have 350 craft beers on tap, in bottle or in can for you to enjoy. I think they've got, is it 35 taps? 32 taps. And typically, Howard, the proprietor, usually has between 3 and 5 of our beers on tap. We just actually, he let us know that 2 Bandits beer actually happens to be the Casual beer. And what that means is if someone comes in to the Casual Pint and they're a Bud or a Coors drinker and maybe they're a little scared of craft, and some people are, you know, they want something that's going to be as equivalent to kind of break them in, so to speak. And if any of you know our Fountain Street Ale, that's one of our lighter beers. It was designed by Bob to get people into craft, and so we're very proud to say that when they ask for an equivalent, the Casual beer is 2 Bandits Fountain Street Ale. So that's kind of a neat thing as well. Like I said, we're actually at Cora and Brian, which is a coffee shop that stocks bourbon, craft wine, and craft beer. They actually move an awful lot of our product. They usually take between 5 and 8 of our kegs every week. So that's wonderful in and of itself. Pork Belly Barbecue in Bowling Green, Ohio. It's brand new. They're right across from the Bowling Green University football field. If that isn't a recipe for success, I don't know what is. But it's a 200-seat restaurant, and their specialty is homemade barbecue. They have a $60,000 rotisserie pit. It's all state-of-the-art, and they are starting with 3 of our beers plus our root beer. And when the new system comes online, they're going to commit to 5 taps plus our root beer. So we are quickly becoming in a lot of different places, and we're very, very proud of that fact. Answer your question, Terry?
Are you gonna have a 4-story garage to take care of the motorcycles that come in on Thursday?
Right. Another great question. That's very successful, and we've already had guests asking us when the first Bikes and Brews is. I mean, they're already itching, so that's a wonderful thing in and of itself. We're already planning for festivities throughout the summer. We're planning for our 2nd annual Hoptoberfest. The first one, I'm very proud to say, drew in over 800 people to the wonderful community of Hicksville, and we have some big plans this year. We're hoping to have close to 1,500 people stop in and see us for our 2nd annual Hoptoberfest. Bob and I have 6 other breweries committed to being here for the festival. We will have a tent on the sidewalk right in front of the brewery, and you can go in and you'll be able to sample breweries from Toledo, from Salina, as well as, of course, all of our locals, including Forked Creek out of Defiance, Drop Tine out of Montpelier, and of course Father John's out of Bryan. So we're very excited about that as well. So there's a lot of fantastic things that are going to be coming down the pike this summer. We are looking at a delivery vehicle. Everything right now is delivered by yours truly in the back of my Crown Vic. And it does hold 8 kegs in the trunk, ask me how I know. But it's getting long in the tooth, and we really need an actual legitimate delivery vehicle. So we're looking at maybe something like one of those little Ford Transit Connects, those little minivans, have it wrapped in our colors. Of course, the Hot Bandits on the side, and we're talking about maybe even having a light bar on the roof so we can take it to parades and things of that nature. But I mean, if we're driving all over this great state, let's put some advertising for 2 Bandits as well as Hicksville on the side of the van. So that's something that we're going to be looking at here. I've already talked to Jim Schmidt, and he's on the lookout for a nice used one for us. So I'm hoping here within the next month or two that you'll see a pretty dark green and cream van sitting out in front of the brewery with Hicksville Brewing Company and 2 Bandits emblazoned on the side. So what else? Anything?
And I don't know if you mentioned, I didn't catch it yet, yours with the 1 barrel system right now is what you're looking, what are you expanding to? What are you getting ready to bring on?
All right, so right now we do a 1 barrel, and Bob had kind of mentioned this a little bit. So in layman's terms, that's 4 kegs a day that we produce, roughly. When the new system comes online, it's a 6 barrel, so then total capacity will be 7 barrels, which means, as Bob had alluded earlier, it goes from 4 kegs to 30 kegs a day. Now, I know that sounds like an awful lot of beer, but on a good night, we can mow through 20 kegs just in the brew pub by itself. So the concern is it going to be big enough? And Bob is worried that within a year, when he cuts me loose out in the wild, that we'll be in the same situation that we're in now, and I truly hope we are. Because that means then that we are having the success that we had searched for. And yeah, so yeah, I hope we're in the same situation, that next year we're running out of beer just as we are in the 1 barrel right now. All right. Anything else? Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.